Welcome back to the VR Workshop. In this episode, it's time to weld the frame in our Landspeed motorcycle. Over the last several weeks, if not months, we've been slowly mocking everything up on the frame. Started with the engine, the GSXR engine went in there, we made some engine mounts for the back. We obviously had to cut the original frame out, weld some new extensions in there. Made mounts for the front, made engine mounts for the side, we've braced up the frame in the middle, we've got secondary mounts for pegs, for intercoolers, for electrical trays, etc, etc, etc. Everything we've been doing so far has been tacked in place. None of it's actually been fully welded. But now we're confident that nothing else is actually going to move, and we're happy where everything is. So it's been stripped back to the frame. We're now going to attack it with a welder for a couple of days, get everything welded up, seamed up properly. Then we can start mocking it up for the last time, get everything in, and basically have almost a running motorcycle. So this is the start of the build. So day one of welding is complete. It's Saturday night, beers in hand, and we're looking at how it all looks now it's cooled down. Going around every single joint with a potential tie wrap, and if there's any gaps that I've found that I've missed, I'm just putting little markers on them, and then we can go around, we get cracking with this again tomorrow. We'll know exactly where we've missed parts and catch up with it. Having experienced this before, because obviously this frame was made in 2023, it is easy to miss parts because you're welding bits and pieces as you go. You're not like concentrating on one joint and then another joint. You want to spread out the welds and spread out the heat so it doesn't distort and twist as much. But it is easy to suddenly miss small gaps. So yeah, it's inspection time, going through the whole thing, see what we've missed, and we'll catch up with it tomorrow. Because tomorrow we're going to take the engine, what would you call this? The jig, I guess. We're going to remove that so we can give access to the back stays, which is going to cause us problems. Because when we weld that, it's going to burn through to the inside of the tubulars where the engine bolts go. So there's probably going to need a bit of drilling and finessing trying to open up these holes again. Know that from experience. And we've also got all the brackets here for the undertray to go on, because we've got a whole undertray which is going to get bolted here. So we've now got these brackets which we need to understand where they're going to sit, how they're going to sit, and then we can get a flush mount all the way across. That's job for tomorrow. Now, as we're welding up all the small gaps that we've missed, while the frame is upside down, it's trying to get a jump on this undertray. Now, we've always had an undertray on this bike. The first generation tray went to there-ish. And in the second generation last year, we extended the tray down right up until where we had the ballast weight, which sat in this here. There was a 27 kilo ballast weight, which sat right here. The main reason for the tray was to stop all the crap coming inside the center of the bike. Now, looking at last year's tray, you can see how much salt damage or how much salt has been on this tray. We scraped this off. We were scraping this tray every single run. So if we didn't have this under tray, the amount of shit that would be inside here would be horrific. And that's all the important things like fuel tanks and fuel pumps and batteries and electronics and shit. So the main reason for the tray is to keep all the salt out. It does have another factor, that it keeps the bottom of the bike streamlined and keeps all the bars away, which is going to cause drag. It hides all them. Now we could tilt the back of the tray up slightly, which should give us a little bit of downforce as well. But we do have that ability. We can always space it out to do that. So it gives us a bit of flexibility. Now with this third generation build, we've got an undertray doing the whole length of the bike, because this engine will be removed from the top as opposed to the Ducati engine, which always came out from underneath. We made the supports in CAD and made the tray and the supports at the same time, so we kind of modeled the whole thing together. So we're going to have a perfect butt joint here, which actually looks really good, right along the seam. So there's no way we can start picking up air and picking up the drag, and more importantly, picking up salt and potentially damaging these trays. It's amazing what things do at speed, and I will quite honestly say that if the wind ever caught a corner of this, it would probably bend it up and bend the corner, and then you're dragging trays down the salt, and that wouldn't be much fun at all. So yeah, it's time to get all this done while it's underneath. I am seeing some small issues as we're doing this, that specifically down there, the riv nuts that we've put on here sometimes clash with the bars that we've got in. In fact, we've got one right here. That riv nut clashes just with the corner, which tells me my model isn't quite accurate. It's close, but it's not. In fact, I'm going to have to relook at it. Maybe it is perfect and I just didn't take into consideration. But that's okay. We can move riv nuts one side the other, and we can shift stuff around. But yeah, the more contact points we have on this, the better. We will use dome heads to keep it all down, the same as we did last year. And if we do get an issue with the threads in there, we can always drill a hole straight through the whole thing and bolt it. Because when you're in the field, so to speak, in the middle of the salt, and you need to undo this and you break a bolt, you need a get out, so to speak. And if it means drilling a hole through the whole lot to fix it, that's what you do. It's racing, as long as it's good for the day. So this is the next job. And that's it. That is the bottom trays on Mark III, I guess this is. It's nice. It's nice and smooth all the way up. It's level across the frame rails, because the first generation and the second generation actually sat inset. In fact, the first generation sat right in the middle. Second set was slightly wider. This one is pretty much flush all the way across. So it gives us a smoother surface. Got a lot more bolt holes than the original ones as well. We will not be using these bolts. We'll use nice rounded nuts. The material is not thick enough to actually countersunk it, so I'm just going to put up with it. But yeah, it's nice. It's very, very nice. I'll probably mark it, so it's always going on the same way. I'm not going to bother painting it, but I will have some draft excluding strips, the really thin foam, just to go in the back, just to stop it rattling. Not that you're going to hear that at close to 200 miles an hour, but it'll give you peace of mind. And I'll keep a bit of salt out as well. So, another job done.